Red pill. The red pill's where it's at.
Red pill.
That red pill. The red pill's where it's at.
But he made his name off of the red pill.
Now, with no further ado, it's demon time.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are strapping in for a truly wild ride.
We really are.
We've traded in the usual corporate memos and, white papers for a stack of transcripts from a very specific, hyper-aggressive corner of competitive culture.
Yeah, this is the Demon Time Battle League New Year's Evil event from December 31st, 2025.
We're looking at 4 high-stakes verbal duels. We've got Garnett versus Primero, Black Zod versus Diverse,
Context versus Rhymeclops, and Mofire versus TZ Degrade.
And our mission here is basically a total cultural shortcut. If you were just dropped into the scene, you'd be lost instantly.
Oh, completely.
So we're going to unpack the language, the internal culture, the themes, and the incredibly dense pop culture references that make up the bars in these battles.
And we absolutely have to start with the League's whole philosophy because they're not hiding it.
Not at all.
The sources repeatedly brand everything through the lens of the red pill concept.
Right. They use phrases like being freed from the red pill matrix to see reality.
And they call this environment demon time.
What's so fascinating about that framing is how it licenses the aggression, right?
It's a total green light. Demon time implies all social filters are off. The gloves are off. If you've seen reality, then, no topic is too personal or too cruel.
It's a justification for the sheer level of personal venom we're about to get into.
And that venom is really what sets these battles apart from, say, standard rap boasts. When you look at all 4 battles together, you see the attacks aren't random. They focus on 3 main areas.
3 sensitive vulnerabilities.
Exactly. And the first and most relentless one is the accusation of drug abuse or just impaired mental capacity.
It's not just a generic, you're a drug user either. It gets surgical.
It's a rhetorical tool.
Yeah.
So in the Garnett versus Primero battle, Garnett is attacked for loving crystal or shards, which is, slang for meth.
And Primero just weaponizes this, saying he sees Garnett's demise with crystal vision like kaleidoscope eyes. It's an attack on his perception of reality itself.
It gets hyper-specific. He even says Garnett is losing quarts of blood.
Quarts of blood. So he's equating his life force with the drug he's accused of abusing.
Yes, it's this dark, poetic way of saying the addiction is literally eroding his existence. And you see it elsewhere, too. Mofire hits TZ Degrade, saying he'll get popped like a pill like the rest of the prescription.
So drugs are always linked to weakness, to a loss of control.
Pervasively.
I'm just struck by how quickly they move from rapping about skill to trying to destroy the opponent's entire identity.
And that leads right into the second, and I'd say arguably most shocking theme.
Okay.
The direct, unvarnished attacks on sexuality, gender, and appearance. This is where that hypermasculine demon time idea is really enforced.
The sources are just saturated with it.
They are. Primero calls Garnett pre-metrosexual, and then just escalates it, calling him a Megatran.
And there is another line, something about being an informant, like a gay on the prowl.
Right. And the aggression is even more pronounced in Black Zod versus Diverse. Zod calls Diverse a girly dyke lesbian pretending to be a girl, and fagging a bitch.
And look, we have to report this language because it's in the sources, but the sheer level of personal venom it's just off the charts compared to what we usually review.
It's designed to shock. It's designed to disqualify the opponent from the culture
Accused
itself.
of only battling ones you know for sure that you can defeat. For maximum
and the language they use to dismiss those wins is actually pretty clever. And the third core line of attack connects right back to that culture of authenticity.
I love the lack of street. It's such a great image. It implies the battle was fast,
credibility.
Zero
Exactly.
effort.
This is where they go after your history as a competitor. They're full of accusations of being a fraud,
Context gets called a pamper
action,
bitch.
And
which
specifically
suggests he's
of
coddled and hasn't had
cherry-picking
any real
wins.
action. It's all about disqualifying your opponent's life experience as fake.
It's hard to stay angry, though, when you realize just how educated you have to be to even land these insults effectively.
That's the pivotal point of this whole deep dive.
Specialized literacy.
It's phenomenal. If you don't know the deep cuts, you miss half the punchline.
And when we look at their cinematic touchstones, there's one filmmaker who just reigns supreme.
Oh, yeah. Quentin Tarantino. His universe is, across all 4 of these battles, the single most referenced point of culture.
And that makes a lot of sense, right? His films are stylish, they're violent, they're kind of nihilistic.
A perfect cinematic analog for the unfiltered aggression of demon time.
So they use his characters as symbols of failure or violence.
For sure. Garnett is called Mr. Brown the way you won't get too far.
Right, from Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
He's the character who dies almost immediately in the car.
It's a powerful metaphor for premature failure, and the references aren't subtle. Primero calls his own performance a straight murder, which is a nod to Inglourious Basterds.
And there was one about lying and fluffing while rapping, a reference to a scene in Pulp Fiction.
It just escalates. They get into the whole grindhouse aesthetic, talking about hiding in the grindhouse and showing planet terror while carving an opponent up alive. They're adopting Tarantino's vocabulary to make their threats sound stylized and inevitable.
And beyond Tarantino, they lean so heavily on sci-fi, horror, and action films.
Well, the whole league is framed by the red pill from The Matrix, so that's the starting point.
But then they weave in all this other lore. Garnett is challenged with, "Fuck secret battle cave, what are you, Batman? I guess I'll be Bane and break your back then."
It's immediate, visceral power dynamic communicated in, 8 words? It's incredible.
So efficient.
And Primero even compares himself to the T-1000 from Terminator 2.
The liquid metal robot?
Yeah, he says he feels like T-100 because I got the cybernetics. It's the ultimate boast. I'm relentless, I'm indestructible, I can change form to beat you.
And they love 80s and 90s action movies.
Wow.
We saw a whole string of Transformers references.
All of them. Optimus Prime for leadership, Starscream for deceit, Soundwave, Megatron.
For Bone Crusher to signal, massive destruction.
They're building a cinematic war machine from their childhoods.
But my favorite, the most specific movie reference, has to be the face-off bar.
Oh, that sequence is incredible.
Right.
Because you have to know the movie, the actors, and the gruesome horror references that come after it.
So Primero says he'll be Nicolas Cage and the opponent will be John Travolta.
And then says he wants his face-off like Ed Gein or Texas Chainsaw.
So you have the high-concept action movie, Face Off, immediately followed by 2 references to real-world and cinematic killers known for skinning victims.
It's this rapid-fire sequence of identity horror, cinematic gore, and real-world terror, all fused into one threat.
And this specialized literacy, it just flows seamlessly from movies into video game culture.
Especially fighting games. I mean, it's the perfect metaphor for a battle league.
It's pure proof of concept. Contax uses a ton of Tekken references against Rhymeclops.
He calls himself the king of Iron Fist. He is literally placing himself at the top of the fighting game universe.
And the list of characters is basically a fluency test for the audience.
He just rattles them off. Armor King, Steve Fox,
Anna and Nina, them Williams bitches.
Eddie Gordo, Ogre, and then he claims he has the devil gene unlocked.
If you haven't played Tekken, those are just names. But if you have, they signify combat styles, power levels.
Exactly. And Contax even says it himself. He says, I use nerd bars and correlated in a gangster way. He's bragging about his ability to fuse obscure knowledge with street cred.
And speaking of credibility and internal history, once you start hearing insults about losing to Boogie, the school shooter, you realize this is a really tight-knit community.
Oh yeah, they have a deep institutional memory. They know every single loss on every opponent's record.
This is that complex, self-referential league drama, the real insider knowledge.
And the past loss is the most devastating weapon you can use.
TZ Daygreat gets called out multiple times. Mo Fire mocks him for losing to Boogie, who gets that memorable nickname.
But the worst is being called out for losing to a rapper named Michael or Eminem multiple times. The taunt is, you ain't got to lose to him twice.
And y'all just battled, and now you lost thrice.
The fact that the audience knows who Boogie is, and knows the exact number of losses, it shows you that the price of admission for this culture is knowing the entire biography of everyone involved.
And you even see the internal structure pop up, like when they reference key figures in the league.
Right. Primero mentions an opponent begging Joe for an audio, and Mofire wishes the judge was Joe Brown instead of Joe Piff.
So Joe is clearly a person of influence, a promoter or a judge.
By referencing them, they solidify the league as its own specific ecosystem, with its own politics and administrators. It makes the audience feel like insiders.
And this internal critique also extends to accusations of theft, of style writing.
100%. Rhymeclops accuses Contax of recycling the Mississippi scheme.
And of writing a win streak that Zod started, basically calling him a copycat.
And Contax shoots back, calling Rhymeclops a bootleg and an Eminem wannabe. It's this constant debate over who's the real innovator.
And Black Zod implies Diverse hasn't grown lyrically. He says he still reads in your battles.
Which is a huge knock in battle rap. It implies you're not prepared, you haven't memorized their lines.
Finally, we should probably touch on the language they use for weapons and violence. It's so casual, but also so detailed.
It's part of grounding all this cinematic hyperbole in what they claim is the red pill reality.
The terminology is very specific. They list off 357s, 9 millis, Mackie 11s, 45.
These aren't just generic terms, they're specific weapons, and the violence is described so vividly, like using a PS5 to the chest.
Or a weapon with a spin and drum like a huge keg.
It ensures that even when they're talking about comic book violence, they can pivot right back to something that feels tangible and immediate.
So when we started this deep dive, we expected aggression. But what we found in these Demon Time Battle League transcripts was a culture that demands this tremendous specialized literacy from its audience.
That's it. It's a hyper-aggressive space, yes.
Yeah.
But its effectiveness relies entirely on a deep, shared knowledge of cinema, of gaming, and of the league's own history.
That's the core synthesis, isn't it? The aggression isn't random, it's highly codified.
Yeah. That red pill philosophy translates into a confrontation that can only be fully appreciated by the informed few who recognize all the Tarantino characters.
Understand the Tekken movesets.
And remember every single past loss. The sheer density of these references is the price of entry.
This isn't just listening to trash talk, it's deciphering a high-speed cultural code.
Exactly. And that kind of leads us to the final provocative thought we wanted to leave you with. If this density of specialized in-group referencing is absolutely necessary to establish dominance in this subculture, if winning requires knowing who Mr. Brown is and what the devil gene unlocks, how does this league's need for specialized literacy reflect the broader trend of information filtering and in-group communication in society today?
When knowledge of a very specific shared cultural history becomes the price of entry, what are we really walling off in our own information bubbles?
We on Demon Time, bitch.